just sit around and think about it, prepare for next year, and wonder, you know, what. But you know, there's a lot of luck involved. There's a lot of good race car drivers here, and I hate to say luck, but there is in any motorsports. You know, things have to go your way. But and some of these guys have just had some horrible luck, got caught up in crashes that, you know, find themselves back in the field. Didn't mean they weren't fast, but boy, again, it's a long way to go for some of these guys.
And that's what we're talking about. You don't have to be good all year, but you have to be good over the 4 days that comprise the Knoxville Nationals, Dave Argabright.
That's right, Ralph. We talked a little bit about local guys. Brian Brown in that 21 car, also in this B main, is leading the weekly points here at Knoxville. So the local fans have more than one to root for here in this race.
The nephew of Danny Lasowski, Brian Brown, getting to be a very talented race car driver in his own right.
Boy, he's having a heck of a year this year, winning a lot of races and really showing, really coming into his own here, it seems like this season.
There you see inside the cockpit of Brian Brown's number 21. One of the things the fans love about these race cars, the ability to see in that cockpit, see the driver working the wheel. Here we go, Green with the B-main. Randy Hannigan jumps out into the lead. Wimmer coming along in that blue car, the 17W.
Going after Shane Stewart in the orange number 1 right in front of him.
Chad Kevin on the bottom in the white number 8. The 8K.
Shane Stewart in the one car I just mentioned right there on the top, won the 360 Nationals last week, won a preliminary. He's having a good year. He won the 360 National up at Skagit, Washington.
The yellow 22, that's the machine that belongs to Greg Hodnett. And you saw Brian Brown's 21 working his way up through the field. Hannigan, Kamenaugh, Stewart, and Brown, the top 4 as they come across the line, and we watch this battle going on here. Wimmer now actually moves up into the top 4 as Brown loses a couple of spots. Things change fast here at Knoxville. Those top 4 are the ones you got to keep an eye on. They're the drivers that'll move on.
Watching these cars here, Kamenaugh and Stewart moving all over the racetrack. Running the top, running the bottom. They were swapping lines. Now they both go to the top of the racetrack to try to lean on that dirt, that wet dirt up there, the cushion we call it, trying to get some traction.
Kamenaugh, the white number 8, the orange number 1 of Shane Stewart, and Brandon Wimmer right behind him. Up to the front we go. There's the number 1 of the Hurricane, the nickname. Randy Hannigan now calls Pittsburgh, Indiana home, but originally hails out of Northern California.
There's another good look right there. You can see how slick it is. A driver has to really be careful in that black, getting in the corner. Real easy to pitch the car 2 sideways and spin the car out or slide up over that cushion, maybe tag the wall.
Chad Kamenaugh out into second place. We're watching Brandon Wimmer trying to chase down Shane Stewart in between the 2 cars.
You know, Brandon Wimmer's another guy, Ralph, that kind of, you know, raced. Heard about him for a few years. It seemed like he almost went away. Couldn't find a good ride. He's been running out in California, having a phenomenal year out there, winning all kinds of races. Again, a good young man having a good season.
Hannigan with a healthy lead here in the B-main. The one thing he doesn't want to see now is a yellow as they work their way through some lap traffic. 4th place right there, that blue number 7 TW of Brandon Wimmer. That's the final transfer. Right behind him is that yellow 22, Greg Hodnett, a veteran driver, 1 spot out, Brad, of going on to the A-main.
Well, right now he's hoping for a caution flag. Hodnett's hoping for a caution to get caught back up. You know, he could be turning lap times equal to these guys. He's so far back, he needs a caution to close it up.
Here's the fight for second. Stewart in the 1. And Kamenaugh on the 8.
And you saw, look at the great gap there. What happened? Shane Stewart went in on the bottom and he missed the bottom, the sticky part of the racetrack, and slid up out of that and had to wait to pick the throttle up and slid across the racetrack. Now, these 4 guys, not only do they concentrate on trying to hit their line, but they're also trying to focus on their race car, because if they make the main event, they've only got a few minutes to get back, tell their crew chiefs, okay, I'm loose here, I'm too tight there. We've got to change the race car to get faster to move up through.
Halfway through this one, and our race leader is now into lap traffic, and that can get very tricky with just 10 laps remaining. Working around Brian Paulus in the white 28.
Nice for Hannigan that the whole outside line was clear. He's coming up on Jeremy Campbell there now.
Campbell in the 10C. Campbell staying down onto the bottom, trying to get out of the way. And look, he's really having to work his way around the traffic, and that's the thing. Some are high, some are low, no rear view mirrors. They have no idea there till you're there until they hear you.
And no communication with a crew chief like other forms of racing. They do have one-way communication from the officials to tell them where to line up and that kind of thing, but there's no, as you said, there's no way they know of who's running behind them or how close they are.
And he's not clearing this traffic, which means second place is closing in. You can see Kavanaugh in the background. He's also got to get around the 96 machine of Bronson Mason.
And the driver knows that too. If he's struggling with lap cars, he can tell that he's slowing down, and that always makes you nervous because you always feel like somebody's breathing down your neck, whether they are or not. You have that feeling, so any mistakes or any time you get caught up in lap traffic, you can really make your driver nervous. Here's a caution.
Caution is out. We've got a car around in turns 1 and 2. Looks like it might be Tony Lutar. It is in the 4X. Talked to Tony earlier this week, and he said, you know what? This might be my last Nationals.
Getting up there thinking about hanging it up, is he? Just
yeah, and he says, you know, I just haven't raced much this year, but I just have to come to the Nationals every year. It just draws me back. I love coming seeing my racing friends, my buddies, and hanging out and seeing how I stack up against the best drivers in the world. And I think that's what it is about the Nationals. Once you've been here, Brad, once you've lived it, breathed it, tasted it as a racer, as a fan, it's hard to get it out of your system.
It's an adrenaline rush that it's hard to match with anything else you do, and it's hard to give that up. You know, a lot of drivers, it's very tough, and hate to see him go, but he's had a lot of fun, hopefully, and you know, maybe a tough ending to his Nationals right here.
I think it's easy to say that when you're already here, but as he gets closer to next August, my guess is he'll be thinking hard about coming back. Here's your top 5. Now remember, the top 4 is what moves on, and Northern California's Tim Kading now has moved his way up into 5th, just getting in front of Greg Hodnett. So Hodnett now has slipped back to 6th position.
We were just talking about that. Hodnett back there needing a caution flag. Tim Kading has slipped by. Now Kading finds himself right there. See what he can do with Brandon Wimmer as they go green on going into turn 1.
Boy, and when you talk about Kading in the 10K, there he is, the son of one of the all-time legends in sprint car racing. If you grew up on the West Coast like I did, yeah, Kading was the name you always heard being barked about when it came to the winner's circle. Talking about, of course, his grandfather and then his father, Brent.
Yep, and he's also a brother, Bud, that races, yeah, you know, running mostly USAC and non-wing stuff now. So definitely a racing family there in the Kadings, and Tim Kading is one tough race car driver, and this guy will stand on the gas pedal.
The whole family was. Howard Kading, the grandfather, yeah, got it started. They have a big racing enterprise out west, and boy, the Kadings are pretty tough, Tony, but I think Randy Hannigan knows a lot about racing against the Kadings as well.
Well, Chris, does Randy have enough to hold off the challengers, especially now that they don't have any traffic?
Restarts are it's all going to be. If we can get them on the restart, we'll be all right.
What'd you tell Randy before he went out?
Drive the shit out of it.
Well, you can see the enthusiasm gets a little wordy. Guys get, yeah, caught up in the moment pretty easy.
It is. It's definitely easy for these guys to get caught up, and you know, he's excited to got a chance to get into the A main. But you know, a lot of observers watching this, but a lot of the drivers and teams that are already in the A main, you can bet they're really watching with a close eye on what the racetrack's doing. When all these top 4 cars come in off the racetrack, they're all going to be down there looking at their tires, feeling them for heat, trying to figure out what they can do to their race car to make it fast.
And we can't say it enough. They've waited all year. They have fought through it all week long. 112 drivers are down to the final 4 spots available in that Knoxville National A main, which is coming up here shortly live on Speed. We've got 4 drivers in those positions right now. Randy Hannigan, Chad Kavanaugh, Shane Stewart, and Brandon Wimmer. Tim Kading in 5th knows he's 1 position away from maybe getting himself in a slot where he can make history and make his career.
It is, and like we talked in the open, 80% of the cars that are here are going to go home. So, I mean, it shows you how tough a field it is. Tim Kading is going to have, he'll make some sort of, if he can just stay with them on the restart. You heard Hannigan's crew chief say they can get a good restart. The key is to jump on the throttle and try to stretch it out so a guy cannot put a slide job or put a move on you going into turn 1. That's key. But as a leader of the race, you're never sure, do I go to the bottom and protect it? Do I go to the top and take a chance of a slide job coming in? So Tim Kading, he's just going to go where the opposite of Brandon Wimmer and try to make something happen.
And even the drivers that are already in the field are feeling the pressure right now. Terry McCarl, there you see him, out of Altoona, Iowa.